So, get in the car.
What the hell? It's a goddamn cougar in the car.
No, there's a cougar in the car. I put it in there.
Welcome back. Episode 6. Had some crazy shit going on. Free agency. Got new teams, new players, lots of fantasy shits going on. Like, everything's changing. I mean, the NFL is basically turning into the NBA now. I mean, we got Aaron Rodgers. We talked about this on the last one, heading to New York. We have our resident Packers fan basically about to, cry all day long. I mean, keep drinking that Packers glasses. Y'all probably going to suck next year.
It's Jameson, just a big-ass glass of Jameson to get through this free agency. No, it's not. It's water.
I was about to say,
I got to work in the morning, so.
That would be a little
but
bit
it should be
respectful.
Jameson. That would probably make me feel a little bit better based on, how this free agency and everything's going for the Packers. Our two players that we've re-signed, I mean, we've restructured everybody on our team basically to get barely under the cap. No, I think we're hopefully going to go for some sort of a splash signing, but we re-signed our punt returner. I don't see it. I don't see us going for. I would love it. Don't get me wrong.
It seems like he wants to go to Dallas. At least that's what a lot of the reports are saying.
It's pretty much guaranteed. He wants to go there. The Cowboys want him. They need him. And
sucks I have CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Continue your hatred or your sorrow about the Packers about to suck for the next 10 years with Jordan Love.
Look, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Wipe some tears, bitch.
Anyway, listen. You'll be crying too when the Saints finally realize that the salary cap is a real thing and they actually have to get out of this rebuild. But neither here nor there. Listen, so we all saw it. We went on we watched the Pat McAfee show, or you have at least seen the highlights or heard the news in some way, shape, or form. He decided last week. I think it's kind of for leaving the Packers. I'm sure they hated him being like, dude, I already decided to go to the Jets. They're just trying to work the compensation, which is the only holdup. But at the same time, dude, can you blame him when so many people shit on him for holding them hostage? And he's not the one who was holding them hostage. They knew since last week, that he was willing to and was going to play for the Jets. So, there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers hate and a lot of woo behind some of the stuff that he does. And I'm not saying it's all right, but
haven't seen that.
No, I haven't seen that either. But at the same time, we're sophisticated. We're not the Chargers. So I've seen so much hate for Aaron Rodgers, and maybe it's just because I used to rave and go to festivals and shit like that I'm all about peace.
Were a piece of shit.
You were right next to me. Anyways, listen.
I don't remember. I played the.
I bet you don't. So listen though. So, he did his darkness retreat, and whatever anybody wants to think about it. Imagine just you're laying in bed at night. You think a lot about life and things going on. He did it for 4 days. I couldn't do that, but to each their own. Ayahuasca, I've heard, is one of the most amazing experiences and shitty at the same time. Dude wanted to clear his head and make sure that he has no emotion involved in it. No outside influence or emotion involved. He wanted to make the decision for himself, and I respect that. So I'm not going to shit on him for that. And I hate that people continuously just pile on him when it's like, dude, you want players to be honest, but only if they're saying the things that you want to hear. You know what I mean? So that type of stuff pisses me off, but it is what it is.
Right.
So to the actual what's going on, right? He's going to the Jets. It's just a matter of time. The Packers so the Packers really structured his salary for this year they can wait all the way up until September before they even have to pay him. Usually it's around free agency or, new league year and all that stuff, or June 1st, but
Right.
they don't really have to pay him anything until September, so they can sit on this. That's where they have the leverage. Where the Jets have the leverage is he wants to be there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, and the Packers, and they know the Packers don't want him. So they're like, dude, why? We know you're going to have to get rid of him. We know you owe him $60 million. So why don't you just send him to us now for, probably a second round pick? I think it's the first that they don't want to give up.
Yeah, no, I think it has to be a first if you're the Packers.
I agree. Even if it's a first and a third, like
yeah. Like
I'm
maybe
not
they
taking
work
this in the
something
first.
out, like kind of with the Calvin Ridley deal. Like, hey, if he comes back and he's himself, and he plays X amount of games, or
Yeah,
in Aaron Rodgers' case, if he plays another season, you give
yeah,
us
makes a
first
Super Bowl, whatever.
yeah, if you give us like a first and a second, or if he retires after this year, it's just a first and a third or something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot
But
of things.
we want picks this year though. So that's the hard part because you can't do that with that. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what this next
I
season is
think
going to
that is
become.
probably the holdup from what I'm hearing is that the Jets don't want to give up their first round pick this year. They want
Number 13 overall. They
yeah,
want to get a lineman.
they want to get next year. So it's interesting, but it's going to happen eventually. But one of the things that I really want to hear from my resident Packers fan is what is your confidence level in Jordan Love? Like, not just fantasy wise as well. I mean, because fantasy wise, we've seen some bad. So, I mean, we don't know, but we've also, like I said, crazier things have happened. He's athletic. He has that rushing upside, so, and then he has some weapons with Romeo Dobbs, and maybe they draft a tight end and also Christian Watson as well. So we'll see. They got a good running game.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
still got AJ Dillon, still got Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
We
So
lost Robert Tonyan.
How do you feel, resident Packers fan? Are you ready to cry? Do you want to die?
No, I mean, so this is the thing, right? Over the last 35 years, basically, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, we've had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. We've had two Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So, it's hard to all of a sudden possibly be irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, think about this. We've always been in the conversation because we've had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. There was never a time, even with a shitty team around us, that we've ever been completely irrelevant. So we don't really know what Jordan Love's going to be. We saw some chemistry with Christian Watson when he came in with the Eagles for a little bit when Aaron got banged up. But we really don't know what's going to actually happen with him. So I hope that he comes through. I hope that he does really well. He knows the system, and I hope that.
I mean, he has no excuses. He's been sitting for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the same path, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's just in the same path that he was in, but he's not Aaron Rodgers, and we know that. So, can he be a mid-tier quarterback? Could he be a top 15? Could he be a Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff with McVay? You know what I mean? Like, could he be one of those type of quarterbacks? And he could
we
do
do know
something.
how
But
his career is going to end. He's going to be the Packers quarterback for probably about 10 years, and he's going to get traded to the Jets. And then they're also going to get traded to the Vikings, and then they're going to lose to the Saints in the NFC Championship as we go on to win the Super Bowl. And then we're probably going to get caught for bounty again. So, I mean,
probably.
It doesn't matter. But hey,
we just covered the next 10 years of NFL in a couple minutes.
The script has been written, and Jordan Love, he's liking his script right now. I mean, it's kind of repetitive. Maybe it's like you can call it like a Marvel movie. It's kind of repetitive, how they work.
Look, the way I look at it is if he's trash this year, we don't have to pick up his 5th-year option. And if you do, if we're trash, I mean, we would be towards the top with Drake May, and Caleb Williams, and maybe because we have seen Brian Gutekunst be willing to make some trades, which Ted Thompson previously never really did in the draft, maybe he gets aggressive. I'm not saying that he would. I mean, you'd have to give up a lot because we're never really irrelevant, and we've got a good team around him. So it would be hard for us to be in the top 10. But if for some reason, say he got injured and we have nothing behind him, you know what I mean? Like, it's possible, and we've got a good team, so you never know.
Last thing, and then we'll get into our free agency winners and losers. Because this is the one thing that you didn't say about him that I would like the audience to know is where do you view him heading into the fantasy season? Is he like a QB2 super flex, obviously, like, so is he your QB2? Is he a wait and see? How do you feel about him real quickly?
Yeah, in super flex, I think he's a mid-tier QB2. I think that we've got good weapons there, and I know we're going to draft more weapons this year. Everybody is, right? But I think that's the main focus is that we need something, whether it's we go get a D-Hop or we get a Michael Mayer or Darnell Washington or somebody like that who's just a big body, or who I want, I want JSN. I mean, he's a tactician. He's a route runner through and through, pure slot receiver. Throw Romeo on the outside, throw Christian Watson on the outside, throw JSN in the slot. That would be my ideal, and then pick up a Dalton Kincaid or somebody in the second round.
Right.
So if we can build that, fantasy wise, I think his ceiling is to be top 15, like very back end, quarterback 1,
right,
quarterback 2.
Yeah, so I mean that's just going to be something that's going to dominate the headlines at least for the next few weeks. So we have to get that out the way because Aaron Rodgers is a massive deal. I mean, I think that immediately makes them the favorites in the AFC East over the Bills, I would say, and over the Dolphins. So it's going to be interesting. This is probably the best defense that Aaron Rodgers has had since his Super Bowl. So
100%. And real quick note, did you see the screenshot that I sent you earlier? What Cole Beasley said?
No.
Cole Beasley said that the disrespect of Aaron Rodgers has gone too far, basically. I'm paraphrasing. And that the only quarterback that you can put over Aaron Rodgers right now is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a guy who played with Josh Allen.
I love Joe Burrow, and he played with Josh Allen. So I'm a Joe Burrow guy. So I would put Joe Burrow above Aaron right now. But I don't disagree that he's still top 5, top 8-ish.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's something that we're going to probably talk about on multiple episodes. Aaron Rodgers heading to the Jets, that's a massive thing. It shakes up not just fantasy, but real life as well. I mean, that's definitely, I mean, besides what we're going to really talk about also with our winners and losers, besides maybe the Bears trading the #1 overall pick, that's the biggest headline that we've had so far in the free agency period.
And they got a fucking haul, man.
Man, they got a fucking haul. Yes. And we're going to talk about that. So I guess since we brought it up, I'll go first because that is actually one of my winners.
Piggyback on that haul. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's Justin Fields, man. Like, and I told you not to get rid of him, but you traded him. And to be fair, you traded him for Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, that's not something you did trade him for Trevor Lawrence, didn't you?
Yeah. And a haul of picks. And
So,
Javonte.
I do believe that Justin Fields is set up for success. And like I said, I don't.
Wait, by the way, I traded him prior to them trading the 101. Had they traded the 101, I probably would have kept him. I'm a believer in Lawrence over Fields still. But man, the weapons they put around him, it's pretty insane.
No, it's great. So that's why he's my winner, and not just the weapons. They finally got him a fucking #1 wide receiver in DJ Moore. So, I mean, he could be a winner in himself because this is the best quarterback DJ Moore has ever played with, I think, was a broken down Cam Newton and Sam Darnold. Because I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, I should have looked this up, but he didn't have Cam Newton in his prime. He had the end of Cam Newton. So to have
had injury,
So and to have Justin Fields, who's by far the best quarterback that he's ever played with, but not just for Justin Fields. The reason why he's my winner is because they surrounded him not just with talent. Their offensive line got better. Like Darnell, they still have Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, but they
great number 2.
Yeah, they also added Robert Tonyan, your Packer. They still have Cole Kmet, who's a solid tight end. Khalil Herbert is finally about to. Actually, we don't know. I don't know if we're gonna have him unleashed because they also signed Dante Foreman, who I really like. Yeah. I like that signing actually.
And you got him on your fantasy team too.
I do. I think he'll fill that David Montgomery role very nicely. So we'll see. I mean, I still think if I have to choose, I'm taking Khalil Herbert over him in fantasy. But like,
for sure.
I mean, Dante Foreman is definitely someone who's going to have some value in your fantasy drafts.
I don't
But
understand his disrespect, man, because been a beast. Like when he was with the Panthers, bro, he came through and was a monster. That's
right.
why I traded him to you and actually got decent return for him.
Right. And yeah, that's what happens whenever I guess you just tear your ACL and you kind of get older as a runner. I mean, no, it wasn't his ACL, it was Achilles.
Yeah.
But he's a little older. He's like 27 now, but it's big body, and he's also
I
not very
remember when he came out of Texas, dude, we thought he was going to
beast.
be like
He's beast.
the next Marshawn Lynch type of dude.
I didn't even mention also that they added Nate Davis, who is great guard, and
Mm-hmm.
they have the number 9, the number 61, and the 2024 first and 2025 second picks from that trading that first overall pick. So like the conversations that we're having right now, guys, are literally the same exact fucking conversations we were having about Jalen Hurts next year. I mean, last year.
Yep.
Like, we didn't know if he was going to be a starting quarterback. We didn't know what Jalen Hurts would be. And look what he just did whenever. And, like, obviously, these aren't the same type of weapons. He doesn't have Devontae Smith. He doesn't have A.J. Brown. But, like, he has the weapons now. The Bears are an interesting fucking team, man. So that's something that I really, really am excited about, not just for fantasy, but just in terms of real life. I think the Bears,
For sure.
in this to you, I think they could be like the Jags, maybe not as good, but like I think Justin Fields has everything that he needs now to be successful and for them to make a playoff run. They could probably still add to that defense a little bit, but they added Tremont Edmonds and the other guy that I'm just blanking on his name right now. But at the number 9,
Tremaine, yeah.
yeah, and then at that number 9 pick, even if they
Oh,
don't
TJ Edwards.
TJ, yes, thank you. And at that number 9 pick, though, whether or not they stay there, they could either take Jalen Carter, who looks like he's been falling because he hasn't performed really at his pro day and he has the legal.
Yeah, his pro day looked rough.
Or they could take Peter Skoronski, the guy from Washington, or one of the 3 freaking monsters from Ohio State's offensive line. So there's a lot of really good things that the Bears could go ahead and do to really solidify Justin Fields and make him their QB of the future.
Look, and I hate it too as a Packers fan to see it. I think the right answer for them is to go offensive line because that's what they truly need out of all this, even though they did sign Nate Davis. I think they need to make a couple, either another splash signing. Yeah, they could use another tackle or, well, I would mainly say a tackle, to be honest. But I think offensive line is the answer. And like you said, Ohio State, bro.
Yeah. So
monsters.
Before I go on to my next winner, who is yours? Let's kind of piggyback off of this. So who's your next winner?
So talking about tackles, Orlando Brown got signed to the Bengals. And actually, I didn't think it was that big of a contract, to be honest. They got him for a decent price. And I wrote a couple things down here. So, yeah. So, I mean, obviously he won because he went from, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs over to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But my winner for that is actually Joe Burrow. So they had Jonah Williams and Lyle Collins. Lyle Collins was good before his ACL injury late in the year. But Jonah Williams had a 63.9 pass blocking grade and allowed 12 sacks. That's your left tackle. I mean, that's your blind side. That's who you're relying on. And we saw that in the beginning of the year. He was running for his life. And throughout the year, he was just taking sack after sack. You can't let your franchise get beat like that.
Oh, no, for sure. And there's a reason why your tackles are usually like your second or third highest paid players on the team.
For sure. Because they're protecting your highest paid player.
Exactly. You gotta protect the blind side.
Yeah, and look, Orlando Brown he took a little bit to kind of get rolling last year. It took him up to about week 10 before he really kind of locked in. But I actually had on here that after week 10, he had an 88.7 pass blocking grade. And that was good for third in the league. So, when you're looking at protecting Joe Burrow, that's what you need. So I hope that he can, and I hope that he can kind of get there a little sooner than week 10 next year, obviously. But at the end of the day, dude's a beast, and they're looking to pass the ball. They're not looking to throw it. He's not as good of a run blocker, but when you've got Joe Burrow, that's, I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but that is your secondary.
Of course. And Joe Burrow, like we were just saying, he's in that category. He's in that elite guys.
And that's what they're doing. That's what they want to do with Justin Fields. You got to overhaul your offensive line. If you've got a weakness, that's what they do with Patrick Mahomes last year when they got last year and the year before when they got Orlando Brown.
Right.
You just got to put the right guys in front of them.
Yeah. So I mean that's a really good one. I would not. Maybe not necessarily that big in terms of like fantasy difference, or maybe it's kind of a sneaky difference because obviously the better O-line you have, the more time you have to pass the ball to those and Jamar and T. Higgins.
Definitely more of a real life winner than it is a fantasy winner, although I think it does correlate to fantasy as well, because I think he'll have more time. Jamar Chase, you want to get him down the field. T. Higgins, you can throw it up to him anytime, but
there is no
that's the main thing.
50-50 ball with T. Higgins.
No, that's a 90-10 ball.
Yeah.
Love him.
So my next winner that we're going to go on with is David Montgomery. So some of you guys might be kind of surprised because usually in Dynasty, you don't really bet on older running backs. And I don't have his age, but I'm pretty sure he's like 26 years old. And that's usually around that time where you expect some running backs to start falling off. But I really love this David Montgomery fit, guys. I think him going to the Lions with Ben Johnson, who's one of the most creative young offensive minds in the league right now, who turned down some other OC and head coaching opportunities because he really believes in what Dan Campbell is building with the Lions. And honestly, I'm a believer too. Like, I love what they're fucking doing over there in Detroit, dude. Like, Dan Campbell.
He makes you want to run through a brick wall.
Exactly. I don't even play sports anymore. I haven't played sports in like almost 10 years. I would fucking put on a helmet and go play for Dan Campbell right now. And I would probably die on the field, but I would do it with pride.
Yeah.
So just to kind of tell you, obviously, I mean, and it's kind of self-explanatory with David Montgomery. He's not very pass-heavy guy, and they already have DeAndre Swift. And, kind of hint, DeAndre Swift is going to be on my list later. But DeAndre Swift is injury prone. He hasn't been able to prove that he can handle the load, which is very disappointing because how big of a fan I was of DeAndre Swift going last year. I had him on my dynasty and traded him just because I couldn't deal with it anymore,
So quick dynasty question though. I'm trying to bolster my running backs in League of Legends. Would you trade the 206 for him?
For David Montgomery?
No. For DeAndre Swift.
Oh, no.
Has he dropped that far?
No, I wouldn't. Honestly,
has he dropped that far for you?
He has. So to me, I think he's still a very big, agile. I mean, he's not big. What I meant to say is a big play guy. He's agile. He's elusive. All he needs, and like we've seen that last year, even when he was injured, is that he would get these 5 carries for like 60 something yards, so he's a big play waiting to happen. So he'll still have that value. But for me personally, I don't want him. He's more or less like an elite handcuff now and like a scat back, because like I said, David Montgomery is not a passing back. He's not going to get a lot of catches. So that's really where you're kind of depending on that value from with DeAndre Swift. So I guess it really just how much you believe he will have those catches, if he'll have like a 50, 60, maybe 70 catch season.
And how many games is he going to play?
Exactly. And that's just, there's so many things that go into it with DeAndre Swift now that it's just, to me personally, it's not worth the headache. And especially in such a deep running back class, I would much prefer just take a swing at a fucking Tajay Spears or something like that if you get him in the second, So
you're saying if you have DeAndre Swift and I threw the 206 at you, you're probably going to take it?
No, I'm saying I probably wouldn't take it.
You wouldn't take the 206?
Oh, no. Yes, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. Yes,
yeah.
If I have DeAndre Swift and you're offering me the 206, yes, I would take it. Yeah, I would. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm very off on him, and I don't think you're never going to, you likely spent first round capital on him, but you're never going to get that back. So that's why if you can get the 206, you got to take that because it's not that far of a fall off, I guess, from where you probably got him. But it's not something that you really want to see with DeAndre Swift. And I'm talking a little bit too much about him because like I said, he is on my list later. But 11 mil guaranteed is also what I wanted to talk about with David Montgomery, because that's a lot of money guaranteed to a running back in today's age, especially like at his age, you don't see that very often. And he had an $18 million total contract over 3 years. So that's just something that you don't see very often, is that type of money commitment. So I really feel like they want him to be that guy. They want him to be what Jamal Williams was last year, basically.
But see, to me, Jamal Williams signed. Now I'm blanking as soon as I'm trying to talk about it.
It was like a 3-year, $8 to $10 million deal with the Saints.
I would have just kept Jamal Williams.
But see, David Montgomery to me is better, like significantly better than Jamal Williams. And
I disagree there. I think he's a better pass catcher.
I do. So yes, Jamal Williams is a better pass catcher, but I think as a pure runner, David Montgomery, I would say he's a lot better than Jamal Williams is, like a lot better. And when you're coming from David Montgomery's perspective, you're coming from one of the worst offensive lines last year with the Bears to one of the Lions that's literally like a top 5 offensive line now. And just the last stat that I want to throw out there, and I got this from the fantasy footballers, so shout out to them, is Jamal Williams had 30 carries inside the 5-yard line in 2022. Guess who the next closest was? And guess what their number was? Just take a wild guess.
David Montgomery.
No. It wasn't actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was Jalen.
Austin Eckler. I don't know.
Oh, that is actually a really good guess. It was Jalen Hurts and Zeke, but Austin Eckler is a good.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts and Zeke at 19. So, like, that's how big the freaking difference is, dude. He had when they're in the 5-yard line, they're handing the ball off to David Montgomery. So I'm not going to say he's going to have a 17 touchdown year like Jamal Williams did, but it wouldn't shock me at all if David Montgomery had like maybe a little over 1,000 yards and like 10 to 12 touchdowns. It wouldn't shock me at all. It really wouldn't.
Before we move on real quick, I just want to get your talking about free agency. I just want to kind of take a quick sidestep to Zeke getting cut. Where do you think he lands, and or where do you hope he lands, if you were a Zeke owner in fantasy?
If you're a Zeke owner, I think the place that you want him to be probably the most is the Bills. And that's what seems like is getting floated around the most, is because they have James Cook already. They spent the 2nd round pick on him. And instead of them maybe bringing in like a Derrick Henry, which is, been rumored before already, Derrick Henry's a guy, I'm not going to say you have to give him the ball 30 times for him to, be successful, but
but he's got to find his rhythm though.
Exactly. And in that Josh Allen offense, I don't know if he fits that scheme and what they want to do with the running back.
Right.
Maybe in like
I'd like to see the Bengals, man. Depending on what happens with Joe Mixon, but he could play the not Chris Evans, but the Samaje Perine role.
Yeah, no, that's another good one. I think he needs to go to a good offense. He needs to go somewhere where he'll have the opportunities in the red zone, because
I think he could pull a Jamal Williams season out.
Yeah.
Where he's getting 17, maybe not 17, but 10, 12 touchdowns plus, because he's getting, throughout the season, he gets
I
30 goal line, 5 yards and in.
I personally just think Zeke is cooked, honestly. Like, no disrespect to Zeke. Like, I love him. I think he's a great player. He'll probably be in the Cowboys Hall of Fame because he is one of the biggest running backs of all time for that franchise. But I don't think he has it anymore to like get to that 10 to 12 touchdown. And not to say that like,
what a sad decline of his career, man.
But it's like we were saying with running backs, with David Montgomery. You never know when it happens, but when it happens, man, it comes real fucking quick. Like, and it comes like a fucking bag of bricks to the face, like it hurts. It does. But let's go on. You have one more winner that we got to go through. So who's your last winner that you want to mention before we go on to the losers?
So my runner-up, I was going to talk about Jacoby Myers because I love him being with the Raiders, going back to Josh McDaniel.
Iffy
Garoppolo is
on.
going to toss it to him over the middle.
I'm iffy on.
So the only reason why I like it is because I know that Jimmy G likes to work the middle of the field, right? And Jacoby Myers can kill some zone coverage. He's good at finding the zone. He's got good hands.
Yeah.
He's big
See,
dude, 6'2", 200 pounds.
he can play on
Um,
the outside. I just don't know if he should live on the outside. That's my issue.
but I feel like he's going to because how do you move Hunter Renfro out?
Exactly. That's my issue is that they have too many
This is
slot
the
wide
fit, the
receivers.
actual fit. I
Yeah.
got you. I think he could live on the outside, but um, my real winner here, Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, bro. Listen, uh, they've already. First of all, he got a $40 million a year contract. He's got Brian Dable, so we saw. I mean, the touchdown numbers were terrible, but you saw what he can do on the ground. But he also had no weapons, so they re-signed Darius Slayton, which I think was a good move. I
That's his
think they
boy.
reworked Sterling Shepard's contract. They picked up Paris Campbell for cheap and they made a big move for Darren Waller. I think immediately Darren Waller comes in, he's going to be their number one receiver on that team, unless they make
Oh yeah.
And you've heard the rumors that he is in the Giants are in the running for a DeAndre Hopkins.
And
Would I be
Odell.
surprised? And Odell. Would I be surprised if they made a run at somebody like a T Higgins or something like that before he has
Well,
to get paid?
I don't remember his name, but the GM for the Bengals pretty much shut that shit down.
Yeah, but we've seen a lot of GMs say a lot of things and then come back
Oh,
and turn around and make a deal because it was an offer they couldn't refuse.
valid
If the
point.
Giants come with, a first, a second this year, or two firsts or something wild because they imagine that their team's going to be that elite. I mean, granted, me personally, I would go after a D Hop or a Odell or something like that. But if they offer him something elite and they're willing to get off a T Higgins contract or get off a pick so they can go pick up another cheap receiver while they're about to pay Burrow and Jamar Chase. Um, why not? But wishful thinking also because I have T. Higgins on my dynasty team. But they made a commitment and they kept Saquon. They tagged him, so hopefully they get a decent deal worked out for him, $10-12 million a year,
Yeah.
somewhere along that line. But the
Hope
point
he
is
gets his
they've
money.
got Brian. They got Brian Dable. Uh, they made a commitment, which I didn't love, but they've got Darren Waller, they got Paris Campbell, they kept Darius Slayton, who was his go-to guy. Like they're making moves to
Yeah.
put things around him now so that there's no excuses. But you would think that they should have given him a prove it deal before they.
No,
No,
I mean I kind of agree with that. I don't really like that they gave Daniel Jones that money, but in today's quarterback league, I mean you can't really blame them. It's
right.
you either have one or you're looking for one. And maybe with
But
Brian
Derek Carr
DePaul,
got 38, Gino
yeah,
got 35. Would you rather have either of those guys over Daniel Jones right now?
I would rather Derek Carr, maybe.
Same, same.
But I mean,
And
it's a maybe.
Gino's a
It
toss
really
up,
is.
but
I think Daniel Jones could be a lot better with Brian DeBall. Like we don't know. We have to see him with the
yeah,
weapons. And you
we'll
brought up
see.
Paris Campbell. That's actually a really underrated signing, I think. Now this is
I agree.
yeah, this is a guy who could not stay healthy whatsoever his like first 3 years or something last year, and really
With the Colts, yeah.
yeah, and didn't really stay that healthy last year. So I mean,
He
it's like
needed to
kind of
change the scenery for sure.
right. It's like a Rashad Penny almost situation where when they're on the field, dude, they look really good though. Like so, I hope he can stay healthy. It would be really cool to see Paris Campbell finally pay off. I know that's a player like my brother Dave was always really high on. Like literally just had him sitting on his dynasty team forever, waiting through those
Yeah.
injuries. But
But that's
hopefully
a spot where I wish Jacoby Myers went.
the Giants would have been nice. Yeah, I would have liked that
Yeah.
one a lot more.
Would
But
have liked it better.
we're gonna go on to our losers so we can go ahead get out of here. Now we're only same thing, only two losers, and this is just some same thing, kind of like we did with our winners. real fantasy, but also like real life as well. And my first loser that I'm going to go off, and I kind of already talked about him, is DeAndre Swift. And this is a guy that I really loved last year. I mean, I told you, how high I was on him last year, Alex. So it's really hard for me to say this, but I mean, I said it already. He's injury prone, and they brought in David Montgomery. They gave him some legit running back money in today's running back market, and honestly, at this point, I think he's just a handcuff. I really do. Like he's a handcuff / scat back. I think his best option is to be maybe what James White was with the Patriots. I really do. Maybe a better.
That's his top tier.
Yeah, like
I think that's a ceiling.
That's what you can expect from him, is like a better version of James White, who can, like, maybe if he breaks open those big plays, then sure, you have someone that you can slot in as like an RB2 or maybe a flex play. But like, the injuries are just so unpredictable. You really can't trust him. Like that's why you asked me if I would take the 206 for him, and I would. Like, I don't remember what I traded for him, but I don't think it was at least what I would have imagined me trading for him going into the season, because this was a guy before last year where he missed all that time. I think he finished as the RB2 the year before that in like 2021.
Yeah.
And then like the year before
his stock skyrocketed, and then
I bought into it. I did. And now, honestly, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. This is just not somebody that you want. And it seems like kind of like the coaching staff has lost faith in him as well. You don't have Deuce Staley there anymore. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if after this year he ends up just being a rotational guy other places.
And it's unfortunate.
Imagine this though. You took DeAndre Swift, not you, but the general you drafted DeAndre Swift, and you could have had Nick Chubb, fantasy-wise. I mean, it's, you never know what's going to happen. Who was the big play guy at the time? DeAndre Swift. And then we saw what happened.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not my first draft mistake, because I drafted DeAndre Swift and I passed on Nick Chubb. I could have drafted him. You know who else I fucking passed on? I drafted Justin Herbert over Patrick Mahomes. We get it. I'm a moron. You don't have to remind me every fucking episode.
Listen, you were just talking so much shit about your drafting and all that stuff. So I just wanted to bring up
even the smartest have to make dumb mistakes. Like Master Jedi Yoda. I don't know why I said his name like that, but Master Yoda from Star Wars. Master Yoda from Star Wars even fell for Darth Sidious and the fucking Order 66 shit. I mean, I should have
draft like John Gruden and Mike Mayock in Las Vegas.
I feel like you just called me racist.
No.
I'm kidding.
Oh man, you would have drafted Cleveland Farrell that early too, wouldn't you?
Probably. No, I would. But I'm gonna save some of my dignity on my drafting and let you finish. Just like I said, if you can get rid of DeAndre Swift, I can give him away for a bag of cookies at this point. I don't think he has any real value left. Stale cookies, yeah. Not even Girl Scout cookies. Like, give them the Girl Scout cookies from last year.
The Girl Scout cookies.
Man, it's so stale, you bite it and it like chips a tooth.
Oh God! Look, talk about stale. The Los Angeles Rams. What a fall from grace, man. Look, I know they like the Saints are getting ready to figure out. You push everything down the line, you trade your first round picks left and right, and you just keep pushing money down the line. And now this team looks rough to me. Look, they lost Leonard Floyd. B-Wags is gone. We thought he might head back to the Seahawks. To me, that's a perfect Eagles type of pickup. We don't know what's really going on with Matt Stafford's back. Is he going to make it through a season? I mean, even if he comes back and he's fully healthy, is he going to make it fully through the season? That's such a back injury is rough to deal with. Let's see. Is Sean McVay still all in? We know he had the Amazon offer for crazy
Both of
money.
those guys contemplated retirement. Yeah.
Aaron Donald contemplated retirement. Is he still all in it for this season? Cooper Kupp's coming off injury. Now, do I think Cooper Kupp's going to be fine? I do, but he's still 28, 29. And he's never been a burner. Has he lost any of his shiftiness? You hope not. Today's injuries, players are getting over them, much faster than they used to and coming back same. But at the same time, dude, that's a rough spot to. Oh, and how did I almost forget to mention Jalen Ramsey gone for a third round pick when you paid
Yeah.
2 first and then paid him 20 million a year?
That's crazy.
That's rough,
That's
man.
that's honestly, I
Rough,
don't know how we didn't mention that in the beginning too. That's the fucking
dude.
nuts
They're
trade.
gonna go back to being like the Sam Bradford St. Louis Rams.
They're looking for Caleb Williams next year. That's what they're looking
I
for.
I don't doubt it. They're right down the street from him, so they see him, playing all the time, and they're
I
not
mean,
trading that
they would have had a top
fucking
five
first.
pick this year. They could have had one of these quarterbacks if they didn't
I mean,
trade that.
Allen Robinson was a
No,
dud.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
that was
why I
just
said that. That was complete wrong. I just lied to our audience.
I didn't hear you.
I said they would have had a top five pick because they traded it to the Seahawks, but that was the Broncos.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
wrong.
But they
But
did they traded their first round pick to the Lions, who I think pick in the
yeah,
top 10 or something like that.
multiple firsts. I think it
Yeah.
was two. It was
Yeah, that was
last
part
year
of the
and this
Matt
year.
Stafford deal.
Crazy, man. But so just the state of the Rams, man. They were the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, with the Lakers and with USC and everything, bro. Really, the odd man out was the Los Angeles Chargers. They should have gone the fuck back to San Diego. But when you've got everything that's going on with the Rams, you're probably going to lose Sean McVay next year. You're almost guaranteed to lose Aaron Donald next year. You've got not a whole lot left on defense. Who are you going to bring in to coach that team? And hopefully you get Caleb Williams. But at the same time, the Chargers have Justin Herbert and an elite offense, and they're a good defense, at least a lot of good pieces.
Right.
They're going to be the better team next year,
Yeah.
So it's just not a good look for that at all.
I mean, they signed Allen Robinson to that massive contract. You just
Ugly, bro.
and
Ugly.
it's just ugly in LA right now. So I don't know. The Rams, they got a lot of work to do, but they're the opposite. Like the Jets are putting in work, but in a good way. And this goes into my next loser, though, unfortunately, is Elijah Moore. So the reason Elijah Moore is my loser is very simple. For one, Alan Lazard 4-year deal, and obviously Alan Lazard isn't, I don't think, gonna amass a whole bunch of targets. He's not gonna demand targets. He's not that type of
If it's
talent.
Aaron,
But that's what I'm saying. It's Aaron. He loves Alan Lazard. He trusts him. And that also goes in that, like, Elijah Moore may be regulated to like the fourth option as just a slot. We already know he had the lack of team chemistry last year, and maybe that was with just the quarterback. But from what I can tell, I mean, or at least what it seems like, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, and Sauce Gardner are all really close. They're posting videos on like Twitch and shit. So Elijah Moore is not part of that group. And like, yeah, I guess they were all rookies together, but like Elijah Moore is only like a year older than them. So like you would think,
dude, I'm so glad you picked up on that because I didn't even think about that.
yeah. So like
When they're putting all those videos out, he's not a part of it.
exactly. So like I don't know if the team chemistry is there, and clearly I'm not in the building. I have no insider information whatsoever. This is going off of pure hunch. That like I just don't know. And obviously what we do know is that Aaron Rodgers wants to bring in more of his friends, Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard. And one thing that we also know about Aaron Rodgers is that he likes to throw the ball to people he trusts. So
Yeah.
if he's not gonna
And
trust him,
prefers route runners over burners. See,
right.
I mean, go back to Romeo Dubs versus Christian Watson, even last year before Dubs got injured.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that's really going against Elijah Moore. If I'm Elijah Moore and I'm the Jets, I would try to work him into that trade with the Packers, honestly. So just to
Yeah, I
kind of,
think
you
that's
really don't
what's
need
going to
him.
be.
I mean, you spent, what was he, a first round pick or a second round pick? I think he was a second.
Second round. Yeah.
Okay.
Second
So
rounder.
he's a second rounder. I mean, if you can trade him, get Aaron Rodgers, get a Super Bowl out of that, that's fucking worth it to me. So, I'm just not really buying Elijah Moore right now. I think he's falling down the depth chart. He doesn't have the team chemistry. And, you don't know. It looks like the Jets are still signing other people. So you don't know who else is going to be brought in, whether it's not. I mean, I think Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis are a given, but it's still possible they bring in more people, like the
I
type.
don't think they're going to end up signing them, though, to be honest. If I'm the Jets, I think that's a terrible move.
What, Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis? I
Yeah.
don't. I think if that makes Aaron Rodgers happy, who fucking cares? They don't ever have to touch the field as long as
I
they're.
mean, Randall Cobb, they'll both get the vet minimum, really, so it's not
Yeah.
a huge deal. But, I mean, you've got CJ in their locker room character guys. I guess I see what you're saying, but if I'm them, I'm not wasting a roster spot. Man, and that's hard for me to say as a Packers fan. Wasting a roster spot on a broken down Randall Cobb who was already
I
contemplating
mean, yeah, he
retirement
probably wouldn't be
and
in the league
Mercedes
right
Lewis.
now, but
I'd rather try and keep my first round pick, give up my second round pick this year, second round pick next year that can become a first next year if Aaron gets to the Super Bowl, plays a certain amount of snaps, playoffs, whatever incentives you want to
yeah,
add to it, and trade Elijah Moore with that. To
yeah.
me, that's a win for
I
them.
think that should be all in the discussion, honestly. Like, if you're the Jets, I don't know why you wouldn't. You already weren't using him, even after you said you were going to get him involved. And yeah,
He tried to get traded last year.
yeah, you could say that's because of the quarterback, but I just don't think it's the scheme fit. Let him get out,
Yeah.
let him go to a place where he wants, and he's still probably the third option in Green Bay, honestly. I mean, maybe you can make an argument as a second, either him or Romeo
Yeah.
Doubs, whoever you like more, but I don't know. It's just, I'm not very excited for Elijah Moore's fantasy stock right now. I don't think it's something you really want to buy into. I think if anything, you want to try to get out of it for like maybe just like the namesake,
Bro, I tried to trade my brother Elijah Mitchell. He has CMC, which obviously is where the value is, right? But I tried to trade him Elijah Mitchell for Elijah Moore. And he's like, no, because if Aaron comes to town, I'm like, if Aaron comes to town, most likely to me, he's going to the Packers.
Yeah. I mean,
To me, the most likely scenario is Elijah Moore's going to the Packers.
and I could see them keeping him, like the Jets, that is. I just don't see why they would. Because, I mean,
And think about quick thought exercise. Who's in the number one? Garrett Wilson. Who's the number two? Probably Alan Lazard, right? The number three, Corey Davis,
maybe he might get cut, though.
possibly. But then you've also got CJ Uzama there. You've got
Conklin.
guy Conklin, who had a great season.
Yeah, you did.
Then you have Brees Hall, and you have
Rucker.
Michael Carter.
You have
You have
Rucker, too.
Jeremy Ruckert. Where does Mercedes Lewis fit there? To me, almost all those guys are ahead of Elijah Moore, and he wants to bring in Odell. I
Yeah.
think that's true.
Yeah.
Not for $20 million a year, but
No. Hell no. Odell's crazy if he thinks he's going to get $20 million a year. But,
yeah.
and all due respect, Odell, not going to happen. But,
Right.
no, I mean, I think that would be a great spot too. And that's something I actually forgot to mention as well, is that Odell is a name that's being thrown around there. And I think is very likely to where if that's the case, Odell might play out the slot while Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard are on the outside. And that, again, pushes Elijah Moore down even further. So this
and
is just,
Corey Davis, yeah.
well, like I think Corey Davis's dead cap is like almost nothing. So I think he is likely a cut candidate regardless. It just hasn't happened yet, maybe, but we'll see. I mean, he because also Corey Davis plays on the outside. He doesn't really fit into the offense anymore with Alan Lazard there.
Right.
unless you just, I guess,
And
rework.
we know that he's going to take Lazard over Corey.
Exactly. I
Davis.
mean, maybe you can rework Corey Davis's contract so he could stay on the team. But if I'm Corey Davis, again, why would you do that? Because they
But he was another guy who wasn't at that little cheesehead cookout.
exactly, the cheesehead cookout, that heard all around the world. So we kind of sat on Elijah Moore for a little while. So why don't you go ahead and give us your last loser, and then to wrap up, we'll talk about just a few of the biggest names that we still have available in free agency.
Yeah. Actually, before I get to that, I know we're kind of on a time crunch, but how do you feel about Jackson Smith and Jigba comp is Jarvis Landry? Route runner, not elite speed,
I
good
like it.
hands, finds the right zone. I was thinking about that because I was thinking about the Packers drafting him, but if we get Elijah Moore, staying away from him.
Right.
But just sit on that one. Think about it for a little bit. Watch his
I,
tape.
I like it. I
Um,
like it.
all right. So my other loser, which we talked about it before. I don't know how much of a loser it really is, to be honest, because we're still, I mean, we just had free agency start, and I know most of the action usually happens for the big names in the first few days in that first week. But a slight loser, Patrick Mahomes. And I know that sounds crazy because he just won the Super Bowl, right? But
Go. Yeah.
um, they had a great and very improved offensive line. And I know they got some young guys out there, but you lost Orlando Brown, who I told you as part of my winners for Joe Burrow, had an 88.7, 89 pass blocking grade. Um, look, dude, going from that down to Jawan Taylor, who was with the Jags last year, which is why the Jags. I mean, think about this: the Jags let Jawan Taylor go because one, his contract was going to be expensive, right? But they have Trevor Lawrence. If he was that good, why would you let him go? Well, looking at it, he had a 76.4 pass blocking grade and had a 39.7 run blocking grade. You can't live with that, man. You really can't.
Right.
Not when you've got Patrick Mahomes. Like, there's no way, that there was any way that he was going to be involved in something, like that going forward. You know what I mean? So it was weird to me that they pulled him in. Maybe they're trying to draft another tackle. We'll see. I'm sure they will, right? Because there's no other option. You can't let that be.
Right.
Uh,
You got to protect
but
Mahomes.
yeah, so I just thought that was a little bit peculiar. And listen, he could come out and be nice. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Patrick
But he was
Mahomes.
drafted in the he was drafted in the second round in 2019. To the Jags. It could happen. I doubt it, but you're going to have to do a lot more movement. Um, when you're blocking for Patrick Mahomes than when you're even blocking for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So I
And
don't know, man. I just didn't love that.
that's an interesting, thing to bring up too, because obviously you're in a division with a lot of pass rushers. You have
Right.
Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? That's the AFC West. So you have the Broncos. You have the Broncos. They have, I can't remember their names right now, but they have a really great defense. Well, they actually just lost Jermont Jones, but they still have some pass rushers there, and they lost Bradley Chubb. So I don't know. Maybe they're not as good as I thought they were going into the year. But you have some pass rushers. I can't think of who the Raiders have right now. Chandler Jones, I think, is he still there?
Yep.
So yeah,
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby, there you go. That's another one. So there's some really good pass rushers in that division, and not have a strong left tackle could really hurt the Chiefs. So that is definitely something to look at. But honestly, it's Patrick fucking Mahomes.
Yeah, and that's why I said and it's free agency is not over. And I think Zach Allen too, I think is who they just picked up from the Cardinals, who was a pretty solid at
Oh
least.
yes, the Broncos. That's a great
Yeah.
signing. Yes, that is a great signing. Yeah.
So I think that listen, is it going to kill the team? No, we obviously saw. And one other thing that I wrote in there was that they lost Juju, which a lot of people, especially AJ Brown, would say that losing TikTok boy is
TikTok
probably
boy.
not that big of a deal. But he did play a pivotal role in the Super Bowl. Um, he knows how to find. I mean, he's probably a C plus B type of receiver now. He signed a decent deal with the Patriots, which I thought was terrible for them, to be honest. If you're going to go after somebody, why don't you? You should have just kept Jacoby Myers in that case, in my opinion. Less drama and
Yeah.
younger and all those things. So, um, and my honorable mention, just to throw it in real quick, is the Broncos wide receivers. You would think that they would be winners in this situation because Sean Payton came in and you've got Russell Wilson, but Sean Payton came
Sending
in and
all
said
them
he wants
fuckers out.
football players, bro.
Yeah.
He said he wants football players, and he
Fuck
put
them.
all of y'all on the trade block.
Yeah.
Wow, if that's not an indictment, I don't know what is, bro. I mean, that's
That's
bad.
harsh. That's some harsh words. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Sean Payton walked in and was like, all y'all fucking suck. Get out of here.
Honestly, I thought he might I mean Michael Thomas like Derek Carr, but I thought the Saints were probably going to cut Michael Thomas, and I thought that
Love that
Sean
he's
Payton
back.
might bring him in. Yeah.
Love that he's back. But no, I mean, that's it. I'm glad you did bring that up. And maybe that's something that we'll have to be able to talk about on the next episode, is maybe one of them
For
returns
sure.
by then. But dude, that is really awesome because you have KJ Hamler, former second round pick, Jerry Jeudy, former first round pick, Cortland Sutton, former second round pick. All guys who, you know, with the exception of KJ Hamler, I think could be wide receiver ones. You know,
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy hasn't really put it all together yet, but I think he's very talented still and could really, on the right situation, like maybe with the Chiefs, you know, if they are really available, like either one of those guys, I think would be
I
phenomenal.
like this fit. I like the Chiefs, but hear me out. Send them to the Patriots with Mac Jones.
Who, Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton?
Jerry Jeudy.
I think honestly,
Put them
Cortland
back
Sutton
together.
would probably fit better there. Like,
I just like that they've played together before. They
yeah,
had big
chemistry.
seasons. I mean, Mac Jones really
Did he
got
play with
Jerry.
Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that is why then, because they do have that college chemistry. Because that would be interesting. Maybe Bill brings the most out of Jerry Jeudy, because a lot of people thought he would be so much better than what he has been so far. And he's been kind of a disappointment, but he hasn't been bad enough to where you label him a full-on bust, you know? But he hasn't really reached the potential, at least that I thought he had coming out of the draft. And I know a couple others.
For sure.
So that's a very interesting, you know, thing to pay attention to see where those guys end up, because that could obviously have massive fantasy implications as well. You know, if Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy or even KJ Hamler ends up with the Chiefs or, you know, another wide receiver needy team, you know, maybe the Packers, something like that, that'd be kind of crazy. So,
yeah.
Now, to go ahead and wrap up, what I would like us to both do is, and I didn't tell you about this, Alex, is really just kind of give our last favorite free agency, big name free agency, I can't speak, free agency guy available and where we would like to see him fit. So I don't know if you have one ready. If not, I can go first.
Yeah. I mean, so my first guy that I kind of thought of is somebody that we kind of mentioned already a little bit, which was Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, did you see his workout the other day? I mean, the dude still looks nasty.
He did.
Yeah,
He looks
he
athletic.
really does.
Fast.
And I think taking the year off was the right decision. You know, honestly, because at the end of the day, the main thing, I mean, he had multiple surgeries. He had to clear up a bunch of scar tissue and crap from a surgery that he had the year prior, 2 years prior. Fuck the Browns. Anyway, but to
Straight
be
up.
honest, I think him going to a contender, going to the Chiefs, I don't think he's going to get the 20 million a year. I would surprise if he got more than 15, more than 12, to be honest.
Yeah, I
At
don't think
30
he gets
years
more
old
than
and
10.
so many injuries. So, you know, but I think he is a guy who, you know, it could be a difference maker in the receiver room for maybe the Jets. I think I like that. I like that fit with Aaron.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chiefs, Jets, I think both of those would be really great. I mean, that would honestly just be incredible. I think any one of those would fit
Yeah.
exactly what he needs in terms to kind of keep his career going. You're with the contender, but you're also somewhere where it's not all thrown onto you,
For
and
sure.
maybe the Giants. I know that's kind of been thrown out there. I would like
Would
that.
love that.
I would
Yep.
like it a lot more now that they have
Darren Waller's the focal point. You got
Exactly.
Darius Slayton to really stretch it. He could be your in and out guy.
Yeah.
And just an honorable mention is Dalton Schultz. That's my other guy I wanted to mention.
Fucking took my guy, you little asshole. That's literally who I was about to say.
Hey, that's big asshole to you, and you can
Or I could call you a
expound
fat
upon
ass, little fat ass.
Hey, that's
So
ridiculous.
since I mean, you're fat. Nothing against fat people. I just don't like this fat person.
Clearly, you have something about fat people. There's an issue.
No, I
have an issue.
I just don't like fat people who look like you. That's really it.
Well, you're crackhead skinny, and I'm fat. So, it is what it is.
Well, you should work out more. So shut up before I meet you. So now
You should
go
stop
ahead.
being Steve Buscemi.
Are you done?
Not really. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To go ahead and end it, or unless Alex wants to keep fucking talking. Since he took my Dalton Schultz prediction, which is who I
You're
was.
like a shitty Nick Wright. You're a Nick Wrong. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm sorry.
I don't even have the fucking hair anymore.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm done now. I'm officially done.
Fuck you. So since Alec took my Dalton Schultz one, I am going to go ahead and say Adam Thielen. So the reason I say Adam Thielen is I didn't really want to say him, but I think depending on where he lands up, he's been, rumored to go to the Panthers. I think that would be a really good fit for him because he could be.
They need fucking something over there.
Yeah, like for one, they could be just like that safety blanket for like your rookie quarterback. Because this is another guy, like, again, I don't really think he has that much left in terms of like whether he's cooked. He may be cooked, who knows? But I do think this is a guy, like, if he ends up with the Panthers, that's a place I would really want to pay attention to, just because I think he could be like a Wes Welker, like you said, Jarvis Landry maybe type guy where they're using him not even fucking 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage, but he's getting like every single fucking target because they obviously have no other weapons there, And I still think they're likely to draft other guys, but I just think that Adam Thielen there as the most trusted wide receiver, the vet, and plus he has history with Frank Reich as well. I think it would be like just a great fit, and even if not there, again, maybe somewhere like we keep saying the Chiefs, obviously that's an easy one. I
think somewhere with a young wide receiver room would be pretty good too, because he's a good locker room guy.
I was actually just about to say the Lions, I think, would be a really nice one as well. Like an up and coming offense that have, like you said, a young wide receiver room with Amon-Ra and Jameson. So he could go in, play that slot, and probably be really cheap and also take a lot of pressure off those other guys. So, maybe not Amon-Ra getting fucking double teamed every play because he's such a target hog, and then allowing Jameson to take the defense off the top as well. So those are two places that I think would really fit well. And even though you said him already, I do really like Dalton Schultz. I don't think he's going to be another Austin Hooper, depending on where he goes, So like if he goes to the Packers, I think that would be nice. The Texans, maybe, I feel like would be really nice as well.
The Chargers. Because they already have your boy over there, the OC.
Yeah, he does. Yep. And Justin Herbert loves his tight ends too. But they still have Everett, so maybe they keep him or run like 2 tight end sets. So who knows? But that's definitely some names that you want to keep your eye on. And we're gonna have some more free agency news come. Maybe by the next episode, both of these guys will be signed. Odell, Dalton, all of them. So we'll see. We'll probably break it down on the next episode. But as for now, that is it. We went through everything. We got our winners, our losers so far, free agency. We have
some shit sprinkled in.
Yeah, some shit sprinkled in. We have a lot of things that are really just kind of to look forward to coming into, like, not just the rest of the season, but like coming into the draft as well, you know, because things are kind of shaking and falling out into place. We know who our quarterbacks are. We know where some running backs are. We know where the wide receivers are. I mean, it wasn't a very deep.
Still waiting on Lamar.
Still waiting on Lamar. Fucking pay the man. But who knows? It's going to be an interesting offseason. We have a lot that we're going to still get into. You know, obviously, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you're commenting. We try to stay as active with the replies as we can, you know, so we want to keep you guys interacting with us. And if, like, just talk football with y'all. That's why we're doing this shit, just so we can sit here and talk football all night. I mean, because
look, and I'm not doing Instagram. You can do Instagram, but I think I'm gonna give in and make Twitter.
Yeah, make Twitter. You should, at least, so you can stop being a fucking old man. I mean, just interact with the people. You could at least, hey, at the very least, post in the YouTube community, you know, because that's really just.
You never gave me the login, so.
You have the login for the YouTube.
You didn't give it to me.
Well, that's because clearly I'm the only one that knows how to work shit, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and Alex,
no disagreement.
Yeah, Alex is just gonna continue to sit with his thumb up his ass, I guess, until he learns how to do shit with his life. But I wish you, I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming drafts. I don't think anyone is drafting yet, but if you are, good luck. Make some fucking trades. Drop some people,
dude.
Some mistakes. Listen to the podcast. Don't listen.
Like, subscribe, comment, please. I'm literally half the podcast. Why would you not want them to listen?
I don't know.
You know the people.
I just don't. Like
you. Yeah, don't be an asshole. You like me enough to do a podcast with me. Shut up.
I guess really because I don't have enough friends to do it with, but we'll see.
You don't have enough friends that like you. Anyway.
All right, let's stop ending it with making fun of each other. Let's just end it right there. All right.
We can't help it. We can't help it.
Bye-bye. We'll see you next time. Peace.